Most people who claim to practice religious practice, there are quite a lot of people who only concentrate in trying to make their Buddhist altar more luxurious and expensive. The Buddhist altar, which has been decorated with all the efforts, they only become a tool to decorate only the luxury without any meaning. Well, this is something that Dalai Lama has tried to describe in a very delicate manner, but we have to think about it in detail. Forget about other country, but Korea, this is something that we have to think once again. We spend a lot of money and we build a Buddhist altar or even monasteries. We only concentrate in building a monastery with a very luxurious Buddhist altar and big trees, and we only concentrate in building it. And after building this fancy monastery, has it been used as a place for practice? It hasn't. Well, if we comment on few of the places, if you go to Jeju Island, there's a monastery where one or two person lives, but it has been built like a movie set with a lot of money. And if you ask if they practice there, they don't. And also in Daegu Dongha Monastery, they have a great Buddha statue there. But what is the great Buddha statue got to do with the practice? And when we say we do religious practice, even the space for the religious practice, it doesn't mean that they need to be fancy or big or has to be the best in Asia or best in Korea. If that becomes so, it creates a big problem. And even the churches, they are very big, but there were no temples which are registered under Jesus Christ. When he was speaking or when he was teaching for about 3 years, he only spoke in small houses or in small caves. And he never did practice or taught in those big churches. And he never asked people to do so too. And by cheating people that if you contribute a lot of money or if you donate money in churches, you'll go to heaven. And even the monasteries with the similar conditions, they build monasteries just like a movie set. And inside, it's the same for humans too. By wearing a very expensive clothes or with decorating our appearance, they are very empty inside. So if you only build a big monastery and if you only show off the monastery, it's not like they're showing off the great saint in the monasteries or the teaching, but instead they try to show off the old house or a big house. And if they only take that as a tool or method of their business, it is a very foolish act. And also when we say religious, it means it practices, and when we say it practices, the ultimatum lies in trying to reduce your greed. And without that, if you only concentrate on building and luxurious things, then you shouldn't concentrate on them. And through the religious practice, human being needs the process to become a human. And without the process becoming a human, uh, you should not be surprised by appearance of Buddha just because of all the things. And this is nothing spiritual or nothing religious, but this will be only indebting people. And we say when we do religious things, there are a lot of people who only concentrate in building a luxurious and fancy Buddhist altar. Where I myself attended when Buddha and when Dalai Lama attended blessing the luxurious Buddhist altar in South India, and since 20,000 to 30,000 people attend practice there, well, I think they can also have this kind of thought, because if the Buddhist temple is small, then if there is only a little space, then people bring a cotton box and they just try to listen to whatever sound. And so the head monk felt bad about it, and he built a teaching room. He built a temple where 15,000 people could enter a hall, and Dalai Lama was very unhappy about it. First, a monk, by building this kind of Buddhist temple, and by spending a lot of money, and also in a very luxurious manner, you put the marbles as the floor. And when I was there, he scolded the head monk when I was there too. And also, he said, when you return back to Tibet afterwards, are you going to take them with you? And you build with that much of money, you build such a luxurious place. And now, when this place is empty, how can you be proud to people who are actually trying to donate their money? He actually scolded them very hard. Well, it doesn't really work for Koreans nowadays, but in olden times, there were once a time they used it as a method to collect money for building something great. And there are a lot of corruptions in here. And here you have to think about the word the religious. And even you guys, while living, your household, if you say it has to be so that the person lives in a religious manner. That means the house doesn't follow the luxury or try to help others. You shouldn't live a life where you are where you are full of the air in the chest. It has to be so that the person lives a simple life and also try to help others. Then only it becomes religious. The Buddhist altar that has been prepared with at first, that only becomes a tool without any meaning. This means you only accumulate bad karmas, and you have not actually tried to change your heart. Even the lamps here, you try your best to get blessings by lighting a lamp here. But with the lighting the lamp, you do not become lucky. And while you light this lamp, your heart has to change into in a good way. Then only you get blessings. But instead of filling yourself with luck, or you just try to fill your mind with greed, and you still want the best for yourself, and you just blame everyone else for it. And we say the dark truth here, the greed and also the feeling of agony. You have to try your heart in order to get rid of those three evils. And while lighting a lamp or while making a lamp, that kind of thought has to arise from you. So the lighting a lamp here, the act of lighting a lamp is not important. Since I don't want to see people arguing about the lamp inside the Buddhist, inside this room or outside in the outside in the playground. I didn't want any difference. So even if you pay $10,000 or $10, I given the same priority for those people who comes first. So even those who give a million, even if it's someone who gives million, sometimes it's worse than people who has actually contributed $10. And if I say so, and if you don't contribute anything, or if you don't do anything, then you distance yourself from the Buddhist teaching. Yesterday, while watching the news on Buddhist television, I was seeing some events and some monasteries in Busan. They lit about 30,000 lamps, and it was so bright. But maybe it shouldn't be so if they are hurt inside this dark. This is just an expression to light our heart. This is just an expression of the heart that you're trying to change your dark mind into a bright mind. By lighting it, if your heart becomes bright, or if your heart changes to lucky or blessing, then I would do a tube light business or even the lantern business, because that's very light. This is just a symbolism. And if you put meaning to a symbol, it becomes a superstition. There is no need for us to give meaning to a symbol. Through this, how are we going to change, and how are we going to change like Buddha? That has the meaning. Without that, if you just try to put meaning to symbols, it becomes a superstition. Even while lighting a lamp, you can do it in a superstitious manner, or you can do in an opposite manner. You have to grow the seed of blessing inside your heart. And so while even offering something, if you pray for something great, then even from a small lamp, even from a little, from a little seed, such a great tree grows. It could happen. But if you do not have that kind of heart, then it becomes a dead seed, or this would just become the seed for the grass. In order to decorate the Buddhist altar in an appropriate manner, then first we get the statue of Shakyamuni, who first started teaching. The reason why we did not have substituting or fake Buddhism, that's because in Buddhism we only had one Shakyamuni, but in Japan, there are many different variations of Buddhism. They're very foolish. We also have this monastery in Yosu, and they're so foolish that Shakyamuni has already, His Holiness has already gone, and now they have created a new religion. The thing that they have created is not Buddhism, but it is a superstition. And Manjushri and Avalokitesvara, despite the fact that they are great practitioners, you can always see that Avalokitesvara has always been showing the great teacher. In which situation ever, when you have only the Avalokitesvara on the forehead, there has to be a Buddha. But nowadays, since people don't follow that, it doesn't really is practiced. But in monasteries or even in cave, if you are preparing your own Buddhist altar, the Shakyamuni has always to be the main god, and also it doesn't matter which god ever, but Shakyamuni has to be at the center and at main. If you have the Vajrayana Buddha as the god of teaching, but still Shakyamuni is the first teacher. You have to know this kind of theory. And so while practice, since it gets passed down, if there are some parts which you have doubts, then you have to go back to the original teacher's teaching and you have to review it. And if this is the speeches of Shakyamuni, you have to look deep into it, and if you realize that this is not the teaching of Shakyamuni, then you have to rethink about it. It's not written in any of the sutras that Shakyamuni's holiness has ended. That is a cheating. And those people, if they come to a debate, then it will take less than 5 minutes for them to get back to where they came from. What they say is meaningless, and they try to claim that it is a religion. Well, I'm also close to them, but even the Wonbulgyo, another sect of Korean Buddhism, they should not call themselves Wonbulgyo. That is actually not the Buddhism. They are using the name of Buddhism, but that is actually not the proper way. If you don't have them, all the basic features, then it is not correct. So if you say you have followed the teachings of Shakyamuni, then no one else, well, no one should go outside the teachings of Shakyamuni. That's very important. So in Korean, there are some people who does the practice of the key phrase meditation, and they also say with the teachings of Shakyamuni, it is not only possible to get enlightenment, but that's a very dangerous saying. It is not the teachings of Shakyamuni, but it was only spoken through China. So the right teachings, and if you are not able to identify what is the right teaching and what is not the right teaching, it is also not proper. So when you have tangas or statues, you need to have the statue or tanga of Shakyamuni in the center. So when you are building a temple, or even when you are meditating in a cave, even if you're making a very simple Buddhist altar, you have to follow this way. So in Tibet, even the old monks in the cave, everyone, they have a Shakyamuni in their place. Also, the scriptures that symbolize the wisdom. Amongst them, you can also have Prajnaparamita scripture or the Avatamsaka Sutra, which symbolize the life of Bodhisattva. This is related to the teachings of Buddha. So whenever I follow the Buddha's teaching, it symbolizes that. Also, in order to symbolize the heart of Buddha, we can also have the scriptures that befits them. If Buddha has spoken this and that scriptures, then since the scripture is the heart and also the philosophy of Buddha, you can also have them. Even if you're not able to get them, there's no need to worry about it. If you're not able to get the scriptures and also statues, it doesn't mean you cannot practice. There's no need to think it that way. But if you can, it's good to have them appropriately. Even if you don't have them, you can imagine in your mind, and that also is not a problem at all. In the center, if you have the statue of Shakyamuni or Tanga, and surrounding, you can have the great eight disciples of Buddha, and also the bodhisattvas. The main essence of Buddha's teaching are bodhisattvas, and so you can have the 8th grade bodhisattvas, or you can reduce and have 4 bodhisattvas or 2 bodhisattvas, or if you try to reduce more, you can also have just one, whether it's Avalokitesvara. Still, then you need to have the Shakyamuni. And before we discuss about them, the thing that you have to know, if you go behind this building, the only people who told me that they are going to leave their statues there are only 2-3 people, but it's but a lot of people just threw away the statues there. They do not believe in. It seems like they do not believe in Buddhism, but they all believe in ghosts. They are keeping the statue of the teacher that they respect, and also thinking about them deeply. And also, I don't know what is wrong with them. I don't know what is so futile, and also what is so superstitious about this. So, if their grandchildren gives the grandmother a statue as a gift after just going to some other trips, I don't know what is so bad about it, but even now I think people take the statue of Buddha as some symbol of a ghost. That if they have this at your home, that something could happen to them, and the foolishness is unimaginable. When you go home, just take a round. There are more than 30 statues lying there. That's a very bad thing. That's a very bad thing. That Buddhist statue does not have a meaning, but through that Buddhist statue, the superstitious thoughts arise because you do not practice. But if you only argue about material value while having those statues, then there is no meaning rather than just having the valuables. So if you argue about having diamond in this statue, or whether the price of the statue is more than 1,000,000 Korean won, we argue about this so many things when you have these statues in Korea. And also, how many times have it been gold plated? All these things. The commercial desires are always there, or if not the commercial, then you have the superstitious visions. And so you hear things like, you hear the criticisms that you're just using it like a ghost party, or you're just it's a symbol of superstition. Well, I think we all deserve it because we do it in that manner too.
이제 특히나 요즘에 이제 뭐 어쩌면 불상을 모신 것이 스승을
Especially nowadays, we have the Buddhist statue to remind ourselves or teachers, but they talk about or they measure the value of it in terms of the treasure.
그거는
That is something that lay people have to do it.
우리가 해야 될 일은 아니야.
It is not something that we have to do it.
따라서 이런
And so understand the
순서에 맞게 방을 잘 꾸미는
motivation and also the meaning of this, and
순서에 맞게 그냥
and
절대로
you have to prepare the altar in a sequence. So it's important to prepare the altar in a sequence. We are not talking about the monasteries that's built nowadays, but in olden times that they were built, then you can know the main teaching room, and also the roof. Everything is in order and everything has followed its own sequence. And but nowadays it is not so.
이게 이제 이를테면
Even when you are building the
구성할 때
Buddhist serene,
북당과 그다음에 상단 중단
even when you are building the mandala there,
이거는 뭐 계급을 나타내기
you have to know
스승을 윗자리에 모신
where to put.
사모니 부처님을 모신 그 법당은
You have to know. You have to know the place of the Buddhist sanctuary or Buddhist sanctum. The teacher where the Shakyamuni sits is always a bit higher. Isn't that something obvious? But for example, if you say
태안사를 내가 태안사에 있었던 지가
it was about 30 years more back, it was in Taean Monastery, and there was a tomb that broke down, which was in the main temple before. And during the war time, they took
수습해서 그 밑에 일중
and they took the things that's broken down and they kept it near the door, near the gate. But
근데 어느 날또
one day when I went, it was below the bathroom, beside the pond.
그럼 불단 자체에 대해서 전체 무식해서
That means they don't even know where to place a Buddhist altar. So while they go to bathroom, it seems like they are going to go to bathroom while looking at Buddhist lyrics.
불단들은
They have prepared the Buddhist altar that manner, and it seems like they only think of Buddhist tomb as just a monument. We have become so foolish. Even nowadays, in Taean Monastery, the Buddhist tomb is below the bathroom, and I don't even feel like talking about it because I don't think they will listen to me. And also,
원래 내가 그 있을
well, when I was there, we actually tried to move it to its right place because it's a place where we have the Buddhist lyrics. Even if there is no Buddhist lyrics, a tomb symbolizes Buddha. So
부처님 위에 분들은 그냥 돌아가셔서 사리가 나와서 모시서 그걸 부도라는 말이 원래 탑이란 말이에요.
the word Buddha actually means lyrics, but we actually try to segregate, calling it different names. So
그래서 참 진짜 이제 불단 하나를 그냥 순서에 맞게
this is also why we build the Buddhist altar in a sequence. Even when you prepare such Buddhist altar at home, you have to do in the right order.
이제 그건 뭐나 뒀다가 어디 써먹을 데 없어.
If you don't know, then come and ask me. You can always use me for that kind of thing. If you ask me what do I have to do or what is in sequence, I'll let you know what you have to do. I will not ask you to prepare more, prepare a statue made of gold, but I just have to tell you to do it so that you do not do informal things. Like for example, let's imagine you have drawn your outline beside your mouth. How can you use it? You have to draw your outline on the eyes. And also, if you have your fake eyelashes on your nose, then
웃기려고 나온.
that's only for a joke.
그래 놓고서도
And even after doing that, if you don't know, well, before I heard teaching, and when I think about it, it starts making me sweat.
여자분이 강사가
In the military camp, they asked for teaching, and so and so that person was going, and so when she was stuck in the traffic, she drew one eyelash or that, and so but she did not get through. She was not stuck with any traffic light, but and so she just arrived there, and she only drew one eyelash, and when she was passing by,
비닐을 착 하더니 킥 하고 웃더라는 거야.
the security
웃기는 모습을 보고서
was smiling at her, and so she actually left. And but
또그 사단장이 나오시더니
the captain came out and kept laughing, and
인사하고 웃더라는 거야. 그래 강의를 사병들 앞에 다
in front of the soldiers,
사병들이 다
she did the teaching, and teaching went very well, but didn't even know that the makeup was only like one eyelash.
그좀 눈이 한쪽은 눈썹이 거의
So there was no eyelash on one side, but there was very dark eyelash on the other side. So
없고 아유 뭐 장병들이
the soldiers were laughing, smiling, and also listening very hard. And after she came out,
오늘 컨셉이 참 좋았습니다.
the captain said today's concept was very good. What concept? And you drew only one eyelash. It was very different. And that person came to know that she drew only one eyelash, eyebrows, and
절대 차 타고 가면서
after that she never drew the eyebrow in the car.
그러니까
And so when you prepare Buddhist altars, you always have to do it in the right way. At least a Buddhist altar or mantra,
경전에 부처님 가르침의 경전에 안에
it is a content inside Buddhist teaching. It is a content inside the sutras. You cannot change the forms of the Buddhist teachings. The Buddhist altar is a shape of what has been told in the Buddhist teaching. So if you're not able to make the Buddhist altar properly, that means you're not aware of the content properly. And it also means you are not very wise.
벽에다 붙여놨어 뭐 그런 일이나 똑같은 얘기가 되지. 아니 난 요즘 올라오면서 자꾸 중생심이 좀
Nowadays, when I come up, I
보살님을 볼 사람 한번 모셔놨는데 그냥 집 뒤에다 그냥 지보고는 엇각을 놓고 저딴 데로 보고
I feel I have the sense of I think I'm growing the
그렇게 저쪽에 올라오면 그렇게 해놨어.
the sense for the mindful the sentient beings. When I come up, there is a statue of Avalokitesvara, but it's looking the other way, and I want to tell the person, but I'm not very sure if I should. Well, if you're not aware, they're very courageous.
그렇게 이제 단어를 꾸미고 그 뭐냐면 그 만들어를
And when you say you are preparing the mantra or the Buddhist altar, it is actually the altar in your heart. It is a reflection of your heart, and through that Buddhist altar, you try to remember or imagine Buddha. And so if you make it wrong, then there will be a flow inside somewhere in your heart.
성스러운 불단에 절을
Then
올리십시오. 그러니까
prostrate in front of the holy Buddhist altar and also make offering. It doesn't mean the altar is holy, but it doesn't mean the statue of Buddha is holy, but
성불하신 그 백에 스승께서
but the holiness lies with the teacher who has been able to get enlightenment, who is behind the statue. And so that's why we say the statue is holy, but it doesn't mean the statue itself is holy.
공양 올리시죠.
do the offering, and offering always has to be a clean one.
여러분도 이등 공양을 올리건 뭐 앞에 맞이 공양을 올리건 청정하다라는 것은 뭐냐면
What is clean here, whether it is the lamp or rice or anything? Well, when you wash it, it is only in a material manner that it is clean. But here, the clean refers to two different things. First, it is not an item that's created out of desire. For example, with theft or with cheating or through some other wrongful methods.
내가 정당한 노동을 해서 돈 올리는
It should be with the money that you have earned through proper labor. Shouldn't be the money that you have done the tax laundry or money laundry. And also when you do the offering,
내가 욕망적인 것을 원하면서 내 욕망과 이 공양 올리는 것이 바꾸어졌으면 서로 바꾸는
if you have a desire that's arising in your heart, and with the offering, if you try to change it, that is also improper. Because I have done this much of offering, you have to give me this much virtue. If you do it also in this way, that is also a dirty offering, and that is an offering that also has cause and effect. If you give monks this kind of dress clothes to the monks, and also if you feed them with this kind of thing, that is a great humiliation for the teachers. So when you say do a clean offering, it means that what do I want, and it is not from my own desires, but through this kind of practice, you are trying to stay connected to the teacher, and so you are making such kind of offering, and through that offering, your relation with the teacher in terms of law and also in every other way, it doesn't stop, and if there is any merit out of it, it's not me who will be benefiting from the merit, but every other sentiment should be benefited from it, and they also should be able to gain enlightenment. Even my family, I hope they all enter into the road of nirvana. It's very important to make that kind of wish. Here, not clean. Well, it's written here, refers to things which are earned from cheating or lie. Once before, someone said, wait for a while, and I asked, wait for what? I have done some investment in the stock, and I told him, I'm not going to receive that kind of money. If I have also bought land somewhere, if the price increases, I'm going to make offering. I'm also not going to accept that kind of money. With much less greed, and also the money that's earned from my sweat, that is the real offering, and without any conditions. When you do the offering, there shouldn't be any intact conditions. Before, someone said they bought me some teacups and asked me to use it, only me, and there are about 5 teacups, and when I drink, I should give 4 to others. And so I told him, should I also not give to others? And the person was like, that's up to you. That means I am very restricted. It shouldn't be so if there is something like that. If you have bought me some teacups, tea set, shouldn't be. It should just end with I'm offering the tea set. please don't tell things like, oh, this is very good, and so only you should eat it. Well, I appreciate and I am grateful for thinking about me and also being good to me, but there shouldn't be the cause and the effect for this. So you guys and me,
서로 이해관계에 의해서 만난 사람이 아니라는 것을 알아야
you have to know that we have not met because of our relative issues, but we just met for the sole purpose of teaching.
그것은 특히 제가
This is especially for the lay people, the practitioners of lay people.
이런 생각을 안 가지고
Well, if the lay people they do not think about this, then they are bound to commit sins. So
지도를 해 나가는 것이 처음에 이런 것을 한꺼번에 다 해버렸으면
if I have done all of this in Sakcha Monastery at the first time, then it would have created a lot of problem. But for 25 years, if I think it has done so, I have said one thing and I have been continuing to do so.
처음에는 나보고
In the first, they told me not to even teach Avatamskara Sutra because
쌓아놓은 보시보다는 금강경 사국의 한 구절이라도 외우고
I said rather than offering to fill the seven heaven, other than that, it's better than just to read one line of the sutra. And they said, if don't say so. If you do so, then who is going to make offering? Buddha has got boundless offerings without even saying that. But
한국 불교에 또 하나 내가 굉장히 아파하는 부분
one part that I feel very painful about the Korean Buddhism is that although they pretend that they follow the proper Buddhist teachings, but
계시고 뭔 절이라 그래도 전부 다 밑에서 보면 또 삿된 짓을
although we have a main temple, if you look at the subsidiary temples there, they're all doing the wrong things. But the teaching, if it's correct from the center, then it should be correct in every manner.
그래서 신앙 행위 자체는 다르고 신행 자체는 다르고 말하는 건 다르고
If the practice, if the behavior, and if the speeches are different, then why do you do that? It's better not to do it. If you know that it is wrong, then you should not do it.
경전이나 불상 또는 부처님의 사진은
If you use the statues or scriptures or the picture of Buddha for personal benefit or for business purpose, then it is wrong.
불상을 내가 여러분도 이제 그런 것이 있을 거야. 저 용장사에 불상을 갖다가 모셨는데
I think it's also so for you. In Yongjang Monastery, we are trying to make a Buddhist Buddha statue that with the wood, and it's about 7,000 Korean won for making. Then that's it. And for other things, for filling up,
장물 사고 이제 그렇게 다
and also for the prayer, it costs more. And I told the head monk of the Yongjang Monastery to reveal each price.
하시는데 이렇게 뭐 3천만 원 그래가지고
If we say per one Buddha statue, it's about $30,000, and if you make benefit for one $10,000, that kind of behavior is also not acceptable.
또는
And that's why for personal benefit or for business purpose, you shouldn't do it.
마찬가지로
And even the people who are making the Buddha statue, it goes the same. But nowadays, it has become a business, and there are many cases where people just make not in the proper way. And to those places, we should not actually give them the business of making it. They're making a very negative karma. They're building up. On the other hand, if you donate the scriptures and also publishing books in order to spread Buddhism, it is a very good act. So if you are trying to offer teaching to others with the books, that's also very good. And even at this time, with the help of others who have innocent goals, it's very good to accumulate those virtues. But while doing this, things should be innocent. Innocent here refers to through them. I'm not trying to gain benefits. You should not try to gain benefits through those acts. And as written in Avalokitesvara Sutra, when it's written absence of I, absence of self, it refers to those. Likewise, you have to distinguish what is clean and offer. In Tibet, they offer clean water or butter. It's a custom, and even this, you should do it properly and also without respect. Dalai Lama said he has also spoken about this. Do not just prostrate for your own virtue and bow and for your own merit, pray for your own merit. You shouldn't do it. When you're offering, when you do some of this act, do not think more than just offering to your teacher. Do not think more than that. It is not more, it is not less than them. When you perform those kind of offering, I think you heard about this before. Although you know this already, I'm going to emphasize on this again. This is 7 different methods to offer to the teacher. So even when we offer at the first hour of the day, it is also same as 7 different methods of offering, and all the contents are already there. So it is also very important to have the thought of offering to your teacher. It is very important. So first we have 7 different methods. So the first one, same for everyone. Nowadays, I don't think the children nowadays, they do not really bow down to their parents a lot. Everyone thinks they are good on their own. But in olden times, the offering to ancestors, when you do the offering ceremony, how many times do you do it? You do it on the lunar calendar, Happy New Year, and also you do it in the harvesting, Thanksgiving, and you also do it during the offering ceremony. And if they are alive, most of the time, we also bow during the New Year, and even on the birthdays. If they're alive, we do it on the New Year and on birthday. But after that, we do it on the offering day, and that is our way of paying respect, and also our gratefulness. But Christians, they say many different things. That if you prostrate, it's almost like idol worship. How could prostrating to your parents could be idol worship? 제사 지낼 때 그렇게 하는 것이 또 살아 계신 부모에게 그 예를 하는 것으로 그 된단 말이에요. Also, when you do the offering ceremony properly, that also becomes a habit for you to also do it for your parents who are alive. Prepare their bed in the night, and also when you take care of it in the morning, and also when you bid them good night in the night. Although even if you're not able to do up to this, but at least the basic manners. When you come back from outside, you should at least say, "Oh, I am back." Even the speeches, you should do that. Just like that.
인사하는 이 것이 왜 여기다 제일
Bowing to your teachers, paying respect to your teachers. Why does that come first? That's most important and that's most basic.
이제 우리 한국에는 불교 믿는 사람 가족이라는
But in Korea, although the families who believe Buddhism, they come in front of the monastery, and maybe their knees have problem. They do not even think about kneeling down, but they just keep standing in a stiff manner.
그 사람은 스승과 법에 연결이 될
And basically, because they're not even able to pay the veneration, they cannot be connected with the teacher or the contents of the teaching. How can they be connected?
그러면서 우리가 부모님께는 봉양을
And after that, while doing it,
또는 가까이 가서 무슨 풀빵을 하나 사더라도
we also do offering to parents. Even if we buy some fruits or some bread, we come and give to parents. And this is nothing different from them. The things that you offer to Buddha is the same.
제사 때 그러면 무슨
And does the Buddha eat? Or on offering day, if the ghost eat or not? Well, this is a theory of the ghost. But on the offering day, you can check in two different methods if the ghost has come. The first one is
씨를 갖다
the weeds.
그걸 갖다 볶아서 짜가지고
Take out the seeds and fry them and make it oil. And
그 한 등장 켤라 그러면
where the wheat does not have so much oil, so if you want to make oil out of it, then you will need a lot of the seeds. And so that's very hard to get it.
귀신이 보인대.
And if you use it as an oil to light the lamp, then you can see the ghost.
색칠 흐르는 건가 어쩐가 하여튼 보인다고 옛날에 또 그 하나는 뭐냐면 그 병신
And the other one is
한지를 싹 깔고
behind the
채를 가지고
wall,
앉혀놓으면
put the Korean paper, traditional paper, and if you put it there, then after the offering, there are footsteps there. It is not even a ghost if they leave the footprints.
기능 같은 거 다 놔두고 그런 얘기는 그뭐 그냥 웃기는
So forget about all them.
뭐 정성을 들이면 그렇게
They're all just fun stories. But if you do a lot of acts, then you can see them. But it's not that you see them. And if you see the ghost, they're not the ghost. Maybe it's that the human beings have become like a ghost only if they are mental. So when you pray, some people say they have seen it. Most of them have problem with your mentality. If they are proper, you cannot see them before your third eye opens. So
차리는 것은 귀신이 먹고 안 먹고의 문제가 아니고 내 마음의 문제.
preparing the food, it is not the issue of the ghost eating or not, but it is the issue of your heart.
부모의 은혜를 갖다 태산같이 잊고 이 세상에 나와서 지금 살고 있는데.
I have taken so many dates from or the blessing from my parents, and even if I prepare the food every day, I cannot repay back for whatever they have done for me. But once per year, remembering how they were when they were alive and prepare something nice to eat, and also if you prostrate in front of them, it does very well for the heart. But in fact, you feel bad for that you have to prepare. And also, when you have to do the offering for your parents-in-law, once you start hitting your husband, it becomes more difficult.
그러고 뭐 뒤에서 저승사자가 나오더만 그렇게 해서 죽겠다는 소리 하면 저승사자가 옆으로 싹 왔으면 좋겠어. 코미디에 개콘에 그거 있대.
The saying, I've seen it on TV, the comedy show, that if they say they they almost feel like they would die because of this problem or that problem, then the messenger of death comes to take them. But when you actually do the offering ceremony for your parents, what's that to die or feel so difficult about it?
공양을 하는 것을 효라 그래. 그래야 다음 생에
We call it
부모를 만나서 태어날 때도
married to the for your parents, and you have to do those. Then only you're not meet bad parents.
들어가는 거 지퍼내가
But those petty things,
추구를 하고 다음 생에 부모 만나는데 개떡 같은 거.
you only care and wish to do well for what goes into your mouth, but you do not care about your parents. And in that manner, in your next life, you'll meet bad parents.
잡숫고 잡숫지 않은 문제가
So even the offering to Buddha, it is not the matter of whether he is taking it or not taking it, but as spoken in the way to Bodhisattva, it is a matter of the heart. It's I become happy, and also my heart becomes more abundant. It is also not a matter of whether you offer a lot or less. It is not a matter of quantity, but here the matter is with what heart have you offered. If you have the sense of parsimony and only offer a little, that means your the door in your heart hasn't opened.
남이 와도 밥 한 끼 줄 생각을 못 해.
Those people who say that they don't eat anyway, so only offer less, they will not even feel like offering food to someone else, even if they come. And if you take totally low such people, then the house will be ruined.
한쪽 구석만 망하면 그래도 살 길이 있는데 전체가 다 망한단 말이에요.
The whole house will be ruined.
그 부처님에게 공양 올릴 때 분유한 마음으로 생각하고 올리는.
So when you offer to Buddha, you have to have the sense of abundance and offer.
좀 큼직하게 내고.
If I have a big heart and if I make a great offering,
스승님께 내가 공양 올린다. 그렇게 하면
and if you think that you are grateful to the great teacher who has given you so much teaching, and weirdly because of those, and even in your next life and next life, you will also continue with the teacher and also the teachings. I'm asking you not to miss that, because if you become miser or stingy, then the door in that direction will start closing. And the door closes, but nowadays when they actually did the inspection with the movement of the brain, that was also revealed. That can also be scientifically proven.
공양지 같은 경우도 꼭 그렇게 이제 해요. 그다음에 이제 참회지는
Even the offering of the materials, that's also same. But the wisdom of repentance. The most important thing is in Catholic they talk about the repentance, but in front of teacher,
것에 대한 자각을 하고 그것을 그렇게 하지 않겠다라는
you have to realize what you have done wrong, and you also have to repent that you will not repeat the same in front of your parents, before your parents scold you. And in case they scold you, if they say your wrongs are this and that and you shouldn't do it, and then you should say, yes, I am very sorry. Then only your affection with the parents will not stop. But us, while living in place like this, even if we say, I hope you do not do that kind of thing, some doesn't come here because they don't want to listen to it, and some say, I'm trying my best, but it doesn't happen well, but that person still keeps coming, even if it's only in the speech. And some, if I say like that, then they say, oh, I didn't know about that, and I should stop it right away. And I have seen quite a few people, even in Yasu. And they, when I saw them in 20 to 30 years, their life becomes better. If I tell them not to drink, then they say, some say,
국가에 세금을 내는 거 아니에요? 술 먹지 말고는 쉬어.
I have to drink a little, then only I'm paying tax to the country. If I tell them not to drink and just pay, we also have to say it's good for us and it's also good for them. It's good because I drink and I pay tax, so it's also good for them.
술 먹어서 네 안 좋고.
But it isn't so. I think because I drink, it's not good for you, and also it's bad for a country because they have to pay for your insurance, and also it's bad for your family. But even if I tell them, they say, oh, they have to drink because of their stress, and then I have to tell them very extreme things. Your liver will be ruined. Your liver will be ruined because of your drinking. And see, if you have to, if you don't say things like that, don't ask someone to save you at the time of your death.
그 스승 앞에서는 지적을 받을 때.
So in front of teacher, even if when you are pointed your mistake, you should say, oh, you're sorry. You have to repent soon. Do not give excuses.
참회지를 하는 거. 그다음에 수의지. 스승이 하는 일에 대해서 스승이 하는 일이라는 것이 대부분 견도에 들어간 사람.
And then next, the things that teacher does. Those people who have actually entered the way. They always do something that's good. So when you participate in their behavior or their activity, if you're weak, then as much as you can, and if you could, you do more, and then only you'll be getting more merit even in your next life. And if your finance and also if your efforts are not possible to add up, then even if by the verbal things, you should say you participate in the contribution. Before, one of the old Tibetan monks, while we were eating together, and he asked me, what are the things that you do in Korea nowadays? And so I told him I'm trying to build a nursing home for the old people. And he said it's a very good. And he said because he's very he doesn't have so much virtue, that's why he lost his country and he cannot help, but even only in his heart he's trying his best to participate in the contribution of the merit, and it should happen so.
그다음에 근청법지라. 언제든지 그 내가 거듭 여러분에게도 많이.
And then we have next. I told you so many times, but there is a method to respect your teacher the most. It's not of prostrating to the teachers, but making the teacher as your teacher, a real teacher. Give them the opportunity to teach. If not, a monk, there's no use for them. Where are you going to use the monks? They are not of very much of use. You have to give them the opportunity to practice the teaching and also do the teaching and lead the teaching, and that is the manner to respect the teachers the most. We respect the teachers, and also just like we respect the thoughts of the parents. So sometimes I joke about this. Well, people don't call me about this anymore, but some say, oh, I'm coming to play in the temple, and then I tell them to bring the drums. A monastery is not a place where they can come to play. monastery is a place to study.
참회법도 들었고
And even amongst the study, there is a prayer and also the method of repentance. And even listening to the teaching.
공부합니다. 그래서 내가 이제 이걸 너무나 잘 알기 때문에 달라이라마께 법을 청했어.
And because I know this very well, I asked Dalai Lama for his teaching. And Dalai Lama, in a very obvious manner, he said, I will just, he did not even say, I will have to check my schedule, but he just said yes.
스승에게 법문을 요청했는데 해줄 수 없는 경우가 있어.
I asked the teacher for the teaching, and there are cases when they are not able to do so. First, if they are not well, they are not able to teach. Second, when I am not aware of the teaching, then they cannot do it for us. Then another time, if you're expecting something wrong, they cannot do the teaching for you. Some do so. Well, I don't go to those places, but there at times they expect me to do teaching in that manner, and then I tell them, you do it. This time they're doing something, but it is very virtuous, and if they take the dead souls to guide the dark souls, it's very good for the house. They asked me to tell them this. But even if our mouth is tilted, we have to say the right thing. But your mouth is very straight, but you should not say the wrong things. And so I did not object, I did not agree, I just kept quiet, and when I am when I'm teaching, I just teach the right thing. So the people who ask me to teach, sometimes it's not befitting their greed. But when I'm actually sitting at the seat of the teacher, I cannot just teach what they ask me to. Then we have the sixth one. When I listen to the sayings that happens in the nursing home, the old people, after they come to nursing home, there are cases when they have to visit the hospital. Then well, it's not easy for people to the nursing home. Legally, we are not allowed to take them to the hospital. We can only take them if their family say accepts it. It's not a matter of finance, but while treating the old people, if there's a problem in the hospital, we cannot do anything because legal issues are involved. Then we contact the families, and they do not pick up the phones. And even if they pick up the phones, they refuse taking them to hospital, giving so many different excuses. It is not the patient that refuses, but the family refuses. And what does that mean? That means you die sooner. It's their thought that they are old and it's better for them to die sooner. But then, if your kids are doing that to you, then they are like your enemy. It is something that is not acceptable. That is also the wrong saying, right? So to your parents, even for a short time, nowadays they are really behaving in an improper way. Children, they only interested in money, and they give so many different excuses that because they're busy earning money. But the parents are way more important. You cannot compare the two of them. And at the time of your parents' death, you have to be there for them to take care of them.
그래서 이 세상에 오래 계셔 주시기를 항상
So
스승들은
you have to pray, not you have to request that they will be in this world for a long time. But teachers who are in the deep teaching, even Buddha, when Aran,
혼이 났어. 그냥 부처님께서 한 3개월
he was scolded a lot of times afterwards. About 3 months before Buddha passed away, he had been saying that he has to go, and he has to go because the things that he wanted to do in this life is all done. And Aran never requested him to stay longer, and for that he was scolded a lot, and he was also blamed a lot. But Buddha, because his life was 100 years, but he has filled the 100 years and left. But if he stayed for a little longer, isn't the child's or children's responsibility to wish that your parents stay or live even for a day more? But instead of hoping that your parents stay longer, you just take that they're old, and so maybe it's about time for them to go.
그런 자식이 있을 것 같으면 지금부터
If there are children, if you think that there are a child like that, then stop trusting your child. Don't trust your child in that respect.
그래서 스승들도 언제든지 이 세상에 계셔 주시기를 갖다 항상 요청하고 회양지라. 그리고 이제
So you should also hope that your teachers stay in this world for a long time.
내가 행복해지겠다 이렇게 하면 안 돼.
Then we have
그 뭐냐면 내가 지금
the total dedication or the transferring of the merit. You shouldn't hope that my offerings, my prayers, and all the things that I do, if there are merits for this,
스님들도 기도를 하다가
if there are virtues for this,
공덕이 있다면 여러 중생
even monks when they pray,
그게 축원이야. 회양하는 거야.
even the monks when they pray, if there are any merits born from the prayer, they will hope that all sentient beings in this world become happy and be blessed. But a blessing shouldn't be the objective or motive.
공덕은 모든 중생에게 돌아갔으면 좋겠다.
The merit that you are practicing every day for the good of your child, you should hope that it will be transferred to all sentient beings.
항상 스승을 향해서
Those 7 things,
내가 끊임없이
all the time, towards the teacher,
공양성사를
you have to practice restlessly. In Avatamskara Sutra, there is the saying where the offering never ended and it has been continued.
이 7가지이거든요. 7가지를 갖다가 항상 여러분이 깊이 생각을 하고
There are 7 of them, and those 7 things, you should always think about them in detail. And on Buddha's birthday, after offering to Buddha, those 7 offerings, the Buddha's birthday is a day where we do those 7 different offerings. It's same for me. For the Buddha, it is my duty as a head monk to offer to Buddha and also offer to everyone who comes here the teaching. You understood? So today I spoke about those 7 offerings again. So even at home, when you pray, you have to do in this order. When you come to the monastery and offer that is actually the offering of the law of the teaching. The contents are also very good. Maybe I would have to give a little little
그 내가
uh,
아무도
teaching about that. Before
외우고 있지만도 다시 훑어보면
I saw the things that I taught once again, and I thought it's very good.
받기 위해서 그냥 주저리 하는 것만 아니고
The motive here,
실제로
it is not
뜻대로만 한다면
it is not only to gain benefits or be virtuous, but those seven the prayer method is a very good method. I have to inspect them again.
얻으신 분들도 공덕 쌓기 위해서 이런 수행을 계속합니다. 그러니까 십지보살의
Even people who has attained a very serious understanding, they also follow this prayer method
관세음 보살님도 이 일곱 가지
in order to gain merit. Even Avalokitesvara does those seven offerings, follows the seven offerings restlessly until they become Buddha.
이게 이제 습관이 안 들면 안 되니까 제발 습관을 들이십시오.
If it doesn't become a habit, it is not okay. So make it into your habit.
뒤에 이제 방 가부자 그 비로자나 그 칠자세 고에 가는 것은 뒤에 있기 때문에 그 앞부분만 잠깐 봅시다. 불보살의 손상이나 등화 등을 앞에다
Since this content is at the back, so we are just going to see the front. You can have it in front of you, and also it is possible in other way. Repent your mistakes and pray for the merit of all sentient beings, and try to transfer all your merits to other beings. Those seven methods of offering is the very basis of teaching. It is something you have to do essentially. If you do this, then the pious thought for the teacher and also Buddha will start rising. Well, there's a question. I don't understand about the agony and the sleep. And so, is there a time where you do not sleep? I heard, it was a shock for me that Venerable Songchon did not sleep for 8 days. Well, I believe a day or two is fine. Even the healthy people, I doubt if 7 days are okay. While listening to you, I doubted what are the things that maybe we have to do, or so many different delusions arose in my head, and I'm asking this question. So first of all, the level where it's okay for them not to sleep is only the level when they have actually started the level of the meditation. The first level or the first dhyana or the contemplation. And if you're not in this level, and if you try to do, you could also die. Once a monk was taken into emergency. Only if your first level of meditation passed by, then only you will be able to be in the state where the sleeping doesn't matter to you. Because you're in the samatha, it doesn't matter if you sleep or not. But it does not happen if you just force it. But you have to be in the first dhyana state. When you say the sleeping is an agony, and if you see that, if you know that if you're in samatha you don't have to sleep, then it's full clear that sleeping is an agony. The more distortion that you have more sleep. And also, old people, they do not say, I did not have to sleep. That's because they have not actually been awake during their afternoon, during their daytime.
그러니까 혼침이 많아져. 죽을 나이가 다 돼가지고.
Once you become old, then
그 해도
then many distortions disappear from your head, but you'll still be put in delusion. Even in the afternoon, you do not have so much thoughts, and you just sit
얘기할 것 생각도 별로 안
and
나고
spend time.
그러니까 근데
And if someone asks you a question, you don't even remember what to say, so you just say, "Oh yeah, well." You're not thinking actually, and you're not even able to remember what others said to you. Well, and you just say, "Oh, was it so? Did I say so?"
늙었지만은 없어가지고
So because there are not many things where to use your brain,
그렇게 막 우글우글 막 그냥 젊었을 때만큼 그렇게 심하게 안 일어나니까 이제 자꾸 이제 혼침이 와가지고
and also since the agony or the desire does not arise in your mind like your young time, the distortions they also just disappear. And even while sleeping, you put into slumber. And when people ask you if you're sleeping, then you say you're not sleeping.
그러면서 이제 잠은 안 온다 그래. 왜냐면 자꾸 순간순간 머리가 혼침이 와서 깜빡깜빡.
And while sleeping, you actually say you're not sleeping. Because from time to time, you enter the state of slumber, but you refuse that you're actually sleeping.
늙어서 이제 혼침이 와서 그러거든. 혼침이 와서 그런데 근데 이제 사마타행이 이제
That's because you have grown old and you have slumber. But when you actually pass across the first state of dhyana in samatha, then
자도 되고 안 자도 되고
it's not like you deliberately avoid sleep, but you're in the state where it doesn't matter whether you're sleeping or not, because the desire for sleep does not arise.
다른 정진을
The
크게
person who asked this question,
그 번뇌를 줄여서 하려고 했는데 잠만 안 자는 것이 정진인가 그러면 이제 사람 죽어.
you actually have to reduce all other agonies and also desires and try to practice, and you have to attain certain state. But this person is only trying to reduce the sleep. If you only try to reduce the sleep and not do other practice, then you could die. It's very dangerous. For example, even if someone asks me to walk about 49 kilometers, it'll take me about 2-3 days with great rest. But if they ask me to run just like 2 hours, I could die. The reason why Hwang Young-jo is able to run in 2 hours is because of his great efforts.
근투하는데 그 사람들이 왜 그 근투가 그렇게 싱겁게 됐느냐면 너무너무 잘하는 사람들이라서
Even though Mayweather and Pacquiao, their boxing, it was not fun because they are people who are really great.
잘못하는 사람은
They are even in the world.
죽는다고. 그 정도 빠르고 센 사람들이고 기술이
Even in the world, if there are people who are not really good at boxing, if they punch him once, they could also die because they are in the state where they are number one. You should not compare them to other people.
들어갔을 때 이제 그것도 가능.
So even the practice, once you have entered into a deep state, it's possible. You should not take that as the final goal. But actually, the enlightenment or nirvana does not lie in sleeping or not sleeping. So even you, when you say you have been trying your best not even sleeping, so even the youngsters, I told them not to do it in the night because they come very late and they prostrate in the night and they yell out for Avalokitesvara, but in the morning they're so sleepy and they're dozing off, and when they go home they fall asleep, and that is not actually practice, and they will be limping for about a week because in the night they have done 2,000 to 3,000 prostration. And even when they actually listen to the teaching, they do not even want to kneel down because, and they do not even want to listen to the word of the teaching.
그게 안 됩니다. 이거는 그렇게 하면 안 돼. 그러니까 요 질문하시는 분이
You should not practice in the wrongful manner. So the person who asked the question,
능사로 삼아서 안 되고
well, I understand, but
달라이라마께서 그러시더라고.
you should not take not sleeping as a final goal. But Dalai Lama said, I don't know if someone asked a question, but he said, I sleep 8 hours and I sleep early.
1시간 2시간
About 9 o'clock, I start sleeping. But at 1 or 2, I wake up. And sometimes when I'm very tired, I sleep for a long time, about 8 hours.
얼마 안 돼서 8시나 9시간.
I think he takes his dinner at 5 o'clock. And at 8 to 9, he sleeps. He goes to bed.
7시간 정도 이제 주무시고. 딱 근데 당신 나한테 하신 말씀이 있어.
If he wakes up at 2 o'clock, then maybe he's sleeping about 6-7 hours. But there's one thing he said. I asked him, why do you wake up very early? He said, because I cannot make time during the daytime, so I use my very early morning time for my practice.
한 번도 안 깨고 주무신다고.
And he said he sleeps without even waking up at in the night. He sleeps very well.
잡수시는 건 어떻습니까? 그러니까
He said he sleeps very well. And when I asked about the food that he eats, he said, I eat very well.
안 된다. 그 말씀드립니다.
And even while doing that, he does his practice. So I'm telling you that you should not take the final goal as not sleeping. And also today,
왔는데 그 어디야?
this morning and yesterday night, I received a Kakao Talk.
그 네팔 스님들 오시잖아요. 스님들 오시는데 굉장히 안에 내용이 그 좋을 것 같아요. 이제 동영상이 한 2개 왔거든요. 2개 왔는데
The 7 monks are coming, right? And I think the contents will be very good. I received about 2 video clips.
좀 작아도 눈이 어두워도 까똑까똑.
Even if it's a little small,
연세가 드시면 저 뭐지? 멀리 있게 잘 보인다 그러더라고. 응?
they said if you grow old, you become long-sightedness. You can see the things afar very well.
이게 보여요?
Can you see?
아니요, 이제 가면충이에요.
This is mask dance.
아니 이거 이제 심딱 스님은 심딱하는 거고 요거는 가면 거기에요. 가면 뭐예요?
This is not oracle, but this is just a mask dance.
가면 거기. 보여요? 그래서 이제 그 이제 그 연불해서 연불도 있고
There is also the mantra recitation, and also there is a musical instrument, and also there is dance. So
한 4,000고지에 사시는 분들 이게 몇백 년 된
this is a tradition that's more than 1,000 years ago, and it will be very difficult for you to see. And also, it is the first performance in Korea.
부처님을 청성이라 그래서 그 부처님을 초청하는.
So first, they're going to recite the mantra of inviting Buddha.
갖다 이제 처음에 할 것 같고, 그 삼보에 대한 기도.
And there will be a prayer for the three jewels.
또 이제 그 부처님과 그 불보살에.
And there will be offering to Buddha and Bodhisattva prayer.
또 이제 아까 지금 여기에 이제 한 공연 자체가 10개 정도 단락이 돼 있어요.
And also there are about 10 performances, 10 divisions made for the performance. Well, it is also not easy to invite them. So on 24th there will be a performance here, and on 23rd they will do it on Myang Monastery. They're going to perform first in the Myang Monastery on 23rd, and on 24th evening it will be performed here, and on 25th they're going to perform at Suncheon, Pongcheon Monastery. And although we say it is a performance, the contents, well, we're not really aware of it, but the prayer
그래서 이제 그쪽에는 특별하게 그 라닥이나 또는 티베트 이쪽은 그 히말라야 속에서 딱 이게
Ladakh or Tibet, those regions, it's actually a close region in Himalaya, so it is not since exposed. It's very well conserved.
그 내용들이라서 여러분께서 충분히 그 보시고
you should watch it well enough, and although you're not able to understand it completely, I believe we can see the things in other culture, and since they are not common dance in the common life, but it's a dance that's made centered around the teaching, Buddhist teaching. So I think it will be beneficial for you to watch them.
연락처들 있잖아요. 카톡도 있고. 내가 아까 카톡 내한테 저장돼 있는 사람이 228개가 되거든. 그거 다 단체로 그 카톡 날리니까 그 답장 다 오대.
I have about 228 people in my mobile, and I send to all of them, and I receive some reply. So if you could also send a message to everyone, well, I think that will be the fastest way to promote this, and also it doesn't cost any money. Save my number. Save my number and also give me your numbers. Then once I have some updates, I also send to everyone.
동영상도 다 보낼 수 있지. 보낼 수 있는데 그 이제 다는 안 보냈어. 그 이제 문자만 보냈어. 동영상도 내한테 카톡 돼.
Well, I could also send a video, but I only send a message. But I'm going to send the video to everyone who is in my KakaoTalk list. We're going to end today's lesson here.